Are you ready to welcome your finalists in the Masters Division of the Pokémon World Championship for the trading card game? I am so excited to bring them on stage, so please give them a warm welcome. First, from Japan, it's Shintaro Ito! And from Australia, Henry Brand! Welcome to the stage. Best of luck. Please shake hands, take your seats, and let's start this game.
I think if you look at this matchup in pretty much all ways, Henry is going to be the underdog. I think his deck is a little bit unfavored against this Blacephalon deck. And, you know, you look at their stats, their tournament winnings over the years, and Shintaro is a world champion. But don't count Henry out. He has played extremely well. I got to watch him win his top 8 match, and he's on fire this year. And we'll see if it can all culminate in a world championship victory.
Well, we got to see him actually give an interview on stream with Anna yesterday as well, and it was a fantastic interview. He's very confident. He's just a very happy to be here kind of person. And I really appreciated that, because for a lot of these players, they are so focused on the end goal that they don't take the time to appreciate it. For a lot of players, they've been here before.
2 Naganadel in the prize cards for Shintaro. And he takes a look out in the crowd.
It's tough.
What's going on here?
Make no mistake, they've got white noise coming in through their headsets. They can't hear the crowd, ooh, that just happened. But you can certainly see some eyes kind of widen. And you know, we'll see if Shintaro can navigate through those awkward prize cards.
All right, the tension is building here as we wait for our first game here in the Masters Division World Championship Finals. If you're out in the crowd, make some noise for these 2 players. They've battled this far, and now just one match stands between them to decide the world champion. And there is the handshake. We're going to get started.
And we are off to the races here. Game number 1 of your 2019 Masters Division World Championship Finals are a go.
And Henry does go first. Something he did mention to me when I was talking to him is, you know, some decks really, really need to go first. Malamar decks tend to do much better when they go first. Anything that needs to evolve Pokemon tends to want to go first. And Henry was saying, that's one of the great things about my deck. I'm okay when I go second. I can welder onto my Mewtwo and Mew GX. I can use attacks on my first turn. So he's comfortable either going first or second. I'm sure he'll be happy to win the opening coin flip here in the finals and be the first player to take their turn. But he says, you know what? It's fine if I go second.
And it's good to be content in either position. There are a lot of decks that really very heavily rely on going first to be able to get that first energy attachment and attack on turn 2. But for Henry to be in a position of flexibility where he's okay with either, I think that's a big advantage and probably part of the reason why he's made it this far.
All right, excellent start from Henry. He gets the turn 1 welder and 2 fire energy. So already off to a great start. He's going to follow it up with this Acrobike. One thing you'll notice about Henry's deck, it is incredibly consistent. We see a lot of these Mewtwo and Mew decks, you know, kind of over tech in a lot of situations. Run too many different kinds of Pokemon, not enough consistency cards. But Henry is playing 4 Acrobike, 4 Pokegear. He's trying to hit those welders as often as possible. And we'll see if he can continue his momentum at the start, gets 3 energy onto his big Mewtwo and Mew GX. That's all you can really ask for on your first turn. Oh boy. Shintaro, though, he's not going to do very much.
He's got a Parapoipole, but remember, those Naganadel are prized.
So he's got an awkward spot. He's got all 3 of his Beast Rings in his hand. Those are important cards after your opponent has taken a couple prizes.
A little early for him.
But he's got no supporter cards, and he can play this Cherish Ball. And usually when you have a bad hand, you want to go for that Dedenne GX, Dede change, discard your hand, draw 6. But can you discard all of your B-strings and still win with this deck?
Well, you were saying one of the reasons why Henry is nervous about this matchup is because when the time strikes, you never know if your opponent is going to have multiple of those B-strings to be able to swing the game in their favor. If Shintaro uses Dead A Change here to try and find a supporter and just have a more consistent opening, he will lose that swing turn later on in the game.
Yeah, his turns become a lot more predictable. And Blacephalon is known for being just wildly unpredictable in the middle stages of the game. Sometimes you play 3 or 4 B-strings and you get 9 energy into play on the same turn. Other games, you don't play any B-strings, and instead of knocking out a tag team, you pass the turn. It's a very hit or miss style of deck, but so far Shintaro has been hitting more than missing, and I think a lot of that is due to his build. He's running that new Naganadel GX from the Unified Minds expansion. That ultra conversion ability gives him more draw power, and on those crucial turns he's able to see more cards in his deck and pull off those huge turns. Looks like he's just going for a Blacephalon though, decides I cannot win if I discard this hand, and he has a very slow start.
And a lot is going to be riding on the card that he draws next turn. Can he find a supporter card to play? Can he draw out of this really unfortunate start, but doesn't feel like he can afford to give up these B-strings so soon? But that's great news for Henry, because it means that Shintaro is much slower in the opening than he himself is.
So a Pokegear 3.0 coming out from Henry. Get to look at the top 7 cards of your deck, take a supporter card and put it into your hand. He only plays 2 different kinds of supporters in his deck, Welder and Bill's Analysis. So it looks like he's taking a look through here, and it takes the Welder. Question is, if he has those custom catchers, can he go after that Blacephalon GX this turn, or will he be happy to just knock out Poiple? Oh, and he put the Welder in the discard pile. Goes to your hand. That's not a card you want to discard without using.
And I think that's a good example of nerves, like we were talking about. That's a small thing. It's ultimately not going to result in any penalties. It's easily resolved, but it's the kind of thing that if you're playing at home with friends, you're not putting that Welder in the discard. So hopefully we can just see Henry. I think as time goes on in the game, he will start to become more comfortable, and mistakes like that will be a thing of the past.
Yeah. The biggest sign of when someone is nervous is when they start shuffling their discard pile.
Oh, okay. I mean, we do see quite a bit of players sort of zoning out while shuffling their hands. But
I mean, legit, like, they play a card that gets something from the discard pile and start shuffling
okay.
it. Happens to everybody. But, all
That's
right.
quite funny.
We do see the Reshiram and Charizard GX come out. We just saw that win in the senior division. It's more of a role player in this deck. Mewtwo and Mew GX can copy any of its attacks, such as that Flare Strike. And we do see double custom catcher bringing up Blacephalon right away. And we're going to see the Flare Strike for the knockout. Henry on his second turn takes a 2-prize knockout, and he's in the lead. Shintaro is on the back foot.
So early to have both of those custom catchers. But Henry, having had 2 turns of consecutive supporter draws, was a bit deeper into his deck than Shintaro is. And that's a big advantage now.
So Shintaro can play all 3 of his B-strings this turn, but there's no Blacephalon to put the energy onto. He's still got to do it all. And I think all he has in his hand after that is a custom catcher to draw 2 cards. If he doesn't draw anything good off those 2 cards, we might see this game get out of hand very quickly.
But if he can pick up a supporter off of those 2 cards, or
something.
I guess something. He's got a lot of something in his deck.
All right, this is a big 2 cards off of this custom catcher. Draw till you have 3 cards in your hand. What is it going to be?
He's got to place those energy. There you go.
He finds a Hapu. That is a supporter he can play. All right. It's probably not the best thing he could have seen, but at least it gives him something.
Considering he is running 4 copies of Cynthia, 4 copies of Welder, a single copy of Lily, and a single copy of Hapu, he would have much rather had a Cynthia or a Welder here to dig deeper into the deck.
Yeah, and he only gets to take 2 of those 6 cards. And I think the best card to find here would have been Dedenne GX, so that you could Dedenne change for 6 more cards.
He's not afraid of discarding his hand now that the Beast Rings have been played.
And he does pick up a Blacephalon GX and the Ultra Space. So he can start to search out that Naganadel GX and maybe dig deeper into his deck.
All things considered, Henry taking that knockout onto Blacephalon GX was a bit of a blessing in disguise for Shintaro. It meant that he was able to use his Beast Rings very early on, and wouldn't be worried about discarding his hand at that point. So he's certainly behind, but now that he's able to draw out of that sticky situation he was in on turn 1, things are going to be looking a little bit better.
All right, Shintaro trying to figure out where should this Naganadel GX go. Should it go on the active that has 4 energy on it? And he decides yes, and we see Ultra Conversion. This is another huge point in the game. He's going to draw 3 cards off of this. And again, this is kind of the important Beast Ring moment. He's already played 3 of them, but none went on to the Blacephalon GX. Though those are some excellent cards off of that Ultra Conversion. Finds another Blacephalon, now Naganadel and Dedenne GX. But he's already played a supporter for the turn. He's already played all of his Beast Rings. There won't be any attack from Blacephalon GX, at least not a Mind Blown. So that Mewtwo and Mew GX isn't going anywhere.
Six fresh cards off of Dedenne Change. Let's see what he's able to find. Does pick up a Cherish Ball.
And we do see Heatran GX. This is a card that can change the momentum of this game. This is where all those Beast Rings pay off. Heatran GX has been a standout card here at the World Championships this weekend. That Burning Road ability will allow him to move all those fire energy to his Heatran GX and swing in with that Hot Burn GX and get a 3-prize knockout. That was an excellent find.
Yeah, Heatran GX has really been a standout in several different decks here this weekend.
And just think of where this turn started. Shintaro had basically an unplayable hand, was relying on a custom catcher to draw 2 cards, and it turned into this.
Yeah, that Hapu was really clutch. We are going to see that Heatran come down. When it moves into the active, that's when the Burning Road ability does take place. So we're going to see these fire energy move on to Heatran.
See 6 energy come up to Heatran GX.
For a 300 damage Hot Burn GX attack.
Things are heating up here in the finals of the World Championships. We're just a few turns in, and already haymakers being thrown back and forth. Henry getting a turn 2 knockout. Now Shintaro getting a turn 2 knockout on a tag team, 300 damage, and the Mewtwo and Mew GX goes down.
This is what we want to see. We want to see a match where both players are drawing into good hands, where we're seeing it go back and forth, and it's not just a thorough stomp. So this is, we're in for a real treat here, I think, in this finals. Even match number 1, Shintaro able to draw out of a really poor start, and things are looking a lot better for him now.
And this is a big moment for Henry. He needs to respond to this Heatran GX and keep up the pressure. He can, he's going to Giant Hearth here. He's got a Welder in hand. If he can draw a 3rd energy, he can use Double Blaze GX with Reshiram and Charizard, hit for 200, and keep on the pressure, go down to 2 prize cards, and really make Shintaro need to have an answer.
Yeah, you were saying that Reshiram and Charizard is more of a support Pokemon in this deck, just to allow its attacks to be used by Mewtwo and Mew GX, but because you're playing Fire Energy with all of the Fire Energy support, you still can attack directly with Reshiram and Charizard.
Yeah, and in this situation, it's even better. Shintaro is at 3 prize cards, so there's that turning point attack on Naganadel, and Mewtwo and Mew GX is weak to Psychic.
Yes.
So sometimes Naganadel can just straight up knock out Mewtwo and Mew GX, whereas Reshiram and Charizard is not weak to Psychic. We do see the Welder, 2 Fire Energy, go onto that Reshiram and Charizard. Both players hitting exactly what they need at this point. And does Henry find that 3rd energy?
He has a Psychic Energy in his hand. We're going to see an Acrobike first.
All right, and he does find Fire Crystal. That's going to do it. And Henry will continue his excellent start. He's saying to Shintaro, I'm going to knock out your Pokemon. You need to do the same.
And if Shintaro does have the tools he needs, he can take a knockout onto Reshiram and Charizard and simply end the game with his 2 tag team GX knockouts, whereas Henry will need 1 more GX knockout on his following turn. So the pressure is definitely on Shintaro right now. If this Reshiram and Charizard stays on the board, Henry will very likely be able to take a knockout on the next turn.
And we do see Dedenne GX come down. I think Henry knows he's going to need maybe double custom catcher on his next turn to close out the game. And there we do see double blaze GX 200 damage to Heatran. And Henry's now down to 2 prize cards. Now it is possible for Shintaro to win this turn if he can get 2 Naganadel out, a Welder, and then 3 Fire Energy. That gets him up to 6, and that will be mind blown, and the game will end on the 3rd turn. And this is just
That's
how
a lot
this
to
matchup
ask,
goes.
though.
It is, yes.
It's a very volatile matchup. You're obviously seeing knockouts back and forth, but Shintaro not playing those tag team GX Pokemon does give him that bit of an edge. He can win with just 2 knockouts, though they are a bit more difficult to take with the higher hit point totals on the tag team Pokemon.
You see him trying to make this decision, counting how many Fire Energy have I gone through? How many Welders have I gone through?
He's playing 14 total Fire Energy in the deck. And it looked like there were about 8 or 9 of them already in the discard pile. Obviously, having pulled 6 from the B string thinned the deck significantly.
So the Giant Hearth is out there as well. So finding the Fire Energy is mostly trivial.
Yeah.
It's does he have Welder? He's trying to figure out, do I promote this Blacephalon GX and hope I draw a Welder for the turn or some way to draw into it? He does have just 1 Dedenne GX in his deck, and he's already played it, so that option is not there. And this is an agonizing decision, as you can see.
It's the choice between going for the win this turn or perhaps trying to force a knockout onto a Naganadel or a Poipole even and give 1 more turn to himself to potentially win the game. But then he's opening up, obviously, the opportunity for Henry to win.
Yeah, and let's not forget he also has that Ultra Conversion ability to draw 3 extra cards. So between the card for turn and the Ultra Conversion, he needs to find a Welder. So it's now on Shintaro's turn. Looks like there's some sort of discussion happening at the table.
Yeah, looks like judges are making a call here. When we obviously know what that decision is, we will let you know, but it looks like it's not in Shintaro's favor. He seems to be a bit annoyed. And it appears to be a prize penalty for, I guess, failure to act in a timely fashion, failure to promote a Pokemon, and in that case, Henry, with the 2 prize penalty against Shintaro, will just win the game.
Henry wins.
Yes, Henry will win with the 2 prize penalty against Shintaro.
Yeah, so Henry's going to take that first game. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but looks like there was a double prize card penalty issued. And since Henry was at 2 prize cards, that is game number 1. I mean, you hate to see it end like that, but
that's unfortunate, to say the least.
It is what it is, and Henry is going to take the first game here in the finals. He's up a game against the former world champion.
But it looked like with 1 turn, we're not 100% sure about what Shintaro had in hand, but it was absolutely possible for him to win the game that turn. Very possible that he wouldn't have had it and Henry would have won anyway, but
yeah, he actually revealed his next card, and it was a Welder.
Okay.
Now, I think he probably would use Giant Hearth first to thin cards out of his deck, and then Ultra Conversion, so I don't know, Welder being on top of his deck really mattered, because he already drew his card for the turn, but
yeah,
he would have won if he hit all the necessary cards, but that's behind us now. We are on to game number 2. Shintaro has to shake off whatever happened there and recompose himself. He is still in this match, just has to win the next 2 games. And 2 Welder prized along with a B-string. We see Macargo GX and a couple Acrobikes, nothing too important for Henry. But we're going to kick off game number 2 here in the finals of the World Championships. Can Shintaro bring this back?
2016 world champion. He's been on this stage before, so certainly he's dealt with the pressure. Game number 1, we'll call it unfortunate, but game number 2 is a fresh start, and he is going to be able to go first this game.
That's right, and he has a much better start than he did in the first game. Already Mysterious Treasure for a Poiple, Ultra Space for a Naganadel GX, and you can see he's playing a little faster. He has picked up the pace a little bit, slamming that Naganadel GX down onto the board. All right, but no supporter card for Shintaro. But on Henry's side, we see the Welder turn 1 yet again. 2 Fire Energy go onto the Mewtwo and Mew GX. And we could see something like a turn 1 Double Blaze GX to knock out this Blacephalon.
That would be a massive advantage for Henry and a heck of a way to start out game number 2.
I wonder if he'll go for it.
Does Henry strike you as a particularly aggressive player?
I think that's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, play styles aren't so prominent in this game.
Yeah, Henry for most of the season played Zoroark decks. Zoroark Lycanroc was one of his favorite decks.
Yeah.
And I think he actually helped build the Zoroark Naganadel deck that we saw Stefan use at the North America International Championship. So he seemed to be more of a Zoroark kind of guy. But when you're playing this Mewtwo and Mew deck, you just become a more aggressive player.
Yeah, I think
that's what your deck's trying to do.
It kind of forces you to take risks, it seems, because you have such powerful potential plays. If you do take those risks and are rewarded for them, it's just, you know, when you happen to not get what you need and then you are punished as a result, it feels pretty bad. But
yeah,
we'll see if that's going to be the case here or if Henry will be able to get a knockout.
Yeah, I think if you're sitting in Henry's seat, you saw your opponent not play a supporter card, and you just say, all right, I'm going to go for knockouts. This could backfire, but if you don't have any supporters and I just attack you every turn, I'm going to win pretty fast. So it looked like the penalty that was issued in the first game, Shintaro was issued a warning early on in the game, and then as he was taking too long to promote his Pokemon, he then received a penalty. But we do see the Double Blaze GX knocking out Blacephalon. And does Shintaro have anything? He draws a Lily for the turn.
Turn number 1, Henry already has taken 2 of his prize cards.
He's going to draw 6 cards.
That's just about the best possible situation for Shintaro, but he still needs to get out of this early disadvantage.
All right, this is the big turn. He went from nothing to perhaps everything. Now playing the Cherish Ball, he can grab Dedenne GX if it's in there.
Oh, he's going to find Naganadel, actually.
Okay, he still has the Ultra conversion to draw 3 more cards. This is where you need to find those B-strings as soon as possible. If he can knock out this Mewtwo and Mew GX this turn, it's going to be tough for Henry to have a response. He's already burned up his GX attack. I don't think you can fault him for doing it. His opponent showed him that he didn't really have anything, and then Shintaro just top-decked Lily for the turn.
This is a very similar situation to what we saw in the previous game with Shintaro going down 2 prizes, and then with triple B-string was able to bring it back. Now, can he find those B-strings here and actually take a return knockout?
We do see him discard the Heatran to the Giant Hearth. Gonna go search up 2 Fire Energy.
Heatran was pretty pivotal in the previous game, but with no energy on the board, it's not going to be useful right now.
What else does Shintaro have in his hand? Does he have any way to draw into B-strings? Does he already have a Dedenne GX? What kind of magic can he pull off on his second turn of the game? And it looks like we got some more talk going on at the table. Shintaro has received penalties in earlier rounds for insufficient randomization.
Oh, he has.
Not sure what's going on here, but guess we will find out shortly. Looks like this turn will continue.
Okay.
All right, so play has resumed. We'll see the Ultra conversion. Big 3 cards here. Does he find any Beast Rings?
It's like Mysterious Treasure and a couple custom catchers.
Yeah, the Mysterious Treasure only gets a Poiple. This is not going to be a very explosive turn for him. We'll see how this turn plays out. This is the window where you need to find those Beast Rings. You can only play it if your opponent has exactly 3 or 4 prize cards. And when you do, it's an incredibly powerful effect. But no, it looks like his hand is just not very good.
No Beast Rings at the right time.
Oh,
He already
nice.
placed that Psychic Energy for the turn.
He sure did.
So again, another small oversight by Shintaro. I wonder, you know, we assumed coming into this series that because Shintaro had won the 2016 World Championships and he'd been to this stage before, that he would be the one that had, you know, more comfort in this seat.
Right.
But it seems like he's kind of at the mercy of nerves as well.
Nobody is immune to being nervous, feeling the
Absolutely
nerves in a high pressure situation. We see it happen to even the best players, and especially, you know, if you're in a spot where you've been hit with a penalty, it just makes things even worse. You get in your own head.
Yeah, I mean,
It can compound.
you have people telling you just have to let it go, but that's that's
Easier said than done.
yeah. When
All
you've
right.
had maybe 5 minutes since it happened, that's not easy. But we
But
did see the reset stamp into 4 cards for Henry. We're going to see a Mysterious Treasure to kick off the turn.
Yeah, if you're Henry, everything is still going right. He has done everything right in this finals. He's gotten quick attacks in each game. He's kept the pressure on his opponent. He's taking every opportunity that's been given to him. If he can find double custom catcher this turn, he can essentially lock out the game, knock out the Blacephalon GX on the bench, and basically be on his way to become world champion.
He's already got 1 game under his belt. He's ahead in game number 2. Wants to remain hydrated. Very important.
It is. Drink your water, folks.
8 ounces here and there.
That's all it takes.
You play Pokemon at a higher level. I can't actually guarantee that.
Yeah. It's very likely, though. If you drank no water the whole day, and then you drank water, I think you would start to play better.
I think you'd feel better, yeah.
Yeah.
True.
All right, so game number 2 still in progress. This will be a huge moment for our player from Australia. He is looking for custom catchers on this turn. I think he already has 1 in hand. I think he's got an acro bike as well.
He does. So there's a chance that he can find it.
If he can find double custom catcher attached to the Mewtwo and Mew GX, he can Flare Strike the Blacephalon GX on the bench and skip over that Beast Ring turn and be on his way to becoming our first Australian world champion in the Masters division.
And just for clarification, we have received word from the ref that's saying it was actually the culmination of the previous round's warnings for Shintaro that resulted in the prize penalty in the previous game.
Right.
Otherwise, there would have been maybe a little bit more leniency.
Yeah, he did get a warning in his top 4 match against Tord Reklev. And that is something that has been kept track of. And it looks like the judge is saying we will have a 2-minute time extension
Okay.
for all the delays we've had in this game. I don't think we'll be in any danger of running out of time in this match. These games don't last very many turns in this
No.
matchup.
We've got about 50 minutes on the clock now. But there has
Right.
been quite a bit of discussion, so important to amend the time accordingly. We're going to see Giant Hearth here. Henry fishing out a couple more fire energy from the deck.
All right. I don't think he found the second custom catcher off of the acro bike. So we'll see what he decides to go with here. Does discard that Mewtwo and Mew GX. He's actually in a position where he could potentially attack with Marshadow The red Knuckles can knock out that Poiple since it is an Ultra Beast. That is a potential option if he wants to go for it. Also has a Welder in hand, so he can Welder to the benched Reshiram and Charizard GX and set himself up for future turns. What does he draw off of these 3 cards?
Fire Energy, Giant Hearth,
All right, just
perhaps a Pokegear. Oh, it looks like there might be another Acrobike in hand. Or he has, oh no, that's his discard. My bad.
All right, 4th energy goes on to the Mewtwo and Mew GX, and we're actually going to see Naganadel GX's Venom Shot taking out the Naganadel on the bench, taking away some precious energy from Shintaro, and this is his last opportunity. He needs multiple Beast Rings on this turn.
We saw him trying to find them on the previous turn. It didn't happen. That bench barrier Mew going to be coming down a little bit late for Shintaro. That could have protected the Naganadel from that Venom Shot, but it wasn't in play at the time.
Okay, and he's left himself with just 2 custom catchers in hand. He's going to Giant Hearth and discard a card from his hand, so he can draw 2 cards here, but he's living on whatever the top couple cards are.
They'd better be good.
He's hoping they are.
His World Championship run is going to depend on it.
He just needs cards he can play. Looks like 2 Cynthia. And he's going to start off with that, so no Welder this turn. Well, he needs a lot of Beast Rings this turn. He might need all of them.
Well, he's got 6 cards to find them.
And he does have an Ultra conversion as well.
His odds aren't great, but it's as good as it's going to get here.
All right. Important 6 cards for Shintaro as he's trying to keep his hopes alive of becoming a 2-time world champion.
Looks like he did find 1 Beast Ring.
Certainly
Welder,
looks like it.
Fire Energy, Custom Catcher.
So we do see charging up with this Naganadel. Lets you take a basic energy card from your discard pile and attach it to Naganadel. And there is the Beast Ring. Go ahead and put 2 energy on that Blacephalon GX. There are now 4 in play. He is already attached for the turn. He's already used charging up. That Poiple on the bench was just played this turn, so no more charging up. And he's got to get to 6 energy to hit for 300 and knock out this Mewtwo and Mew. He's going to custom catcher for 1 card. He gets a Beast Ring.
Oh, wow. What a card.
But is it enough? He's already played his supporter for the turn. He's only going to get to, well, he's going to have 6 energy in play, but he has to retreat 1 off in order to attack with Blacephalon GX.
Remember, he discarded that Heatran GX very early on this game. We saw.
And he's already filled his bench.
Yeah. That Mew had to come down just so he could find more cards off of the custom catcher to be able to get the Cynthia, but he filled his bench in the process.
I think he's just 1 energy short. And this game was decided perhaps by Henry deciding to use that Naganadel GX Venom Shot to knock out a benched Pokemon instead.
Charging up.
Yeah, and knock out a benched Pokemon instead of the active Pokemon, forcing Shintaro to use an energy to retreat. And yeah, he's just going to have to use that Bursting Burn attack. Confused and burned is Mewtwo and Mew GX. See if it's still burned. It is. And now we reach an important point in this game. Does he find a switch to move that Mewtwo and Mew to the bench, or will he be forced to retreat?
It's like Electromagnetic Radar and a Cherish Ball from the Acrobike. He's going to go with the Cherish Ball.
He still needs to find a Welder to power up an attack big enough to knock out this Blacephalon GX. We haven't seen many of the tools in this Mewtwo and Mew GX deck quite yet. It's been mostly Reshiram and Charizard as the attacks being used. 1 from Naganadel GX. Does Henry have any other tricks he can use here?
He's going to Cherish Ball for that Solgaleo GX. One of the few 2 energy attacks that Henry has access to in his deck.
Okay, and this is a big Pokegear. He wants to find yet another welder. If he can find it, he can power up that Reshiram and Charizard GX and Flare Strike for the knockout and put himself in a position to go down to 1 prize card and potentially be a world champion in just a few turns.
Look at the top 7 cards of your deck.
And he finds the Bills Analysis, not quite what he was looking for, but still going to be a decent card in this situation. I think a switch is still very much a good card to draw. We've seen Shintaro burn through, I think, 3 custom catchers. So he won't have that option to go after Henry's benched Pokemon at this point. If Henry simply switches to the bench and slowly powers up his tag teams, he can set up a game plan where he's going to win before Shintaro has an opportunity to take all 6 of his prizes.
Yeah, it looks like he's missed the opportunity to take a knockout this turn and then win the game on the following turn, but Shintaro still has 6 prizes that he needs to take, so Henry might have a little bit more time here.
So we see Bill's Analysis. Get to look at your top 7 cards, take 2 trainer cards, and put them into your hand. One of them is that custom catcher. Second looks like it may be a Cherish Ball or Mysterious Treasure. No switch in his top 7 cards. And then the question is, does he dig deeper? He does have Dedenne GX in hand. He could try to Dede change into that switch.
He's got 2 of them in the deck.
Oh, double custom catcher going after Poiple. This gets him out of Beast Ring range and gets him down to 2 prize cards. And he can do it all attacking with Marshadow, a non-tag team.
That Red Knuckles attack, 10 damage plus an additional 60 if your opponent's active Pokemon is an Ultra Beast.
This is brilliant. Marshadow mostly used for that resetting hole ability, a counter to that Power Plant Stadium. But in this situation can be used against this Ultra Beast deck.
Yeah, this is incredibly smart from Henry. He needs to get Shintaro out of Beast Ring range because he's only seen 2 of them so far. He knows there's still 2 left in the deck. And that could be a big swing in Shintaro's favor. So Henry going down to 2 prizes here puts himself in a position to potentially take a GX knockout and win the game on the following turn and prevents all of those Beast Ring shenanigans.
See the Dede change for 6 new cards. Finds an Acrobike. Is there a switch in here? No,
Looks like he picks up a custom catcher.
Oh, he's got the switch.
He's got it in hand. All right, Marshadow is going to see some action here.
The gold switch right on time for Henry Brand. Cora, I think we may have a new world champion soon. Red Knuckles.
We might.
Down to 2 prize cards.
Henry has truly impressed this weekend. He's been such an incredible performer. His play has been crisp. His attitude has been fantastic.
Shintaro is still a world champion competitor. He is going to find a way to fight back if he can.
We saw him almost able to close out game number 1 when he started in a very bad position. So can he work his way back here?
I think the major problem is he's out of custom catchers, but he can't sit back and do nothing. He can welder here, attach 2 fire, draw 3 cards, but he's going to have to attack the Marshadow. And that just doesn't really get him anywhere in terms of advancing the game state towards a victory. I think he needs to find Reset Stamp this turn and try to disrupt Henry's hand. He doesn't have an attack set up currently to win the game. So if Shintaro can disrupt his hand, perhaps he can claw his way back into the game, but it just looks really bleak.
So much would have to go so right for Shintaro here, and so wrong for Henry.
Does he find Reset Stamp off of the Ultra conversion? Oh, he finds a Heat Factory, but no Fire Energy in hand.
He doesn't look happy. He's got a Beast Energy.
He can custom catcher for 1. I'm not sure if he's used the Giant Hearth yet either.
If he hasn't, then he can Giant Hearth for fire energy, override it with the Heat Factory.
Yeah, so he's still got some plays left. Now, I think
Cynthia on hand as well.
the major problem for Shintaro is Henry still has Solgaleo GX in the discard, so even if he has nothing in his hand, he can just Turbo Strike and get 2 energy on the Reshiram and Charizard on the bench, and he'll set himself up for a game-winning Flare Strike eventually. His lead is just so massive in this game. He's up 4 prizes. You see Shintaro.
We're going to see a Burst GX here.
Realizing his run may be over. We see the Burst GX discards a Welder and says, all right, your turn. If you can knock out my Blacephalon GX, you are the world champion.
Can Henry do it?
He looks through his deck with Cherish Ball to make sure there's fire energy left. Plays down the Giant Hearth. Gets this fire energy if he's got another one in hand and a Welder. He's just going to retreat and use Macargo GX.
He's going to remove
it.
all the energy, and
Henry
that
Brand.
is going to do it. Your 2019 Pokemon Trading Card Game Masters Division World Champion from Australia, it's Henry Brand.
The unlikely underdog takes down Shintaro Ito, and he is now your world champion. Congratulations to Henry Brand.
Successfully has defeated the 2016 world champion. He's put Australia in the record books with his Masters Division Championship title.
Henry, you are a world champion. How does it feel to hear that?
It's incredible, really. I'm brought to tears, honestly. Like, I never ever thought I'd get here. So.
You've worked so hard. What has it taken from you to get to this point?
It's taken a lot of bad tournaments, that's for sure. You know, luck always doesn't go your way. It did go Shintaro's, it went mine. You know, you need to get lucky to win an event, no matter how good you are and how well prepared. So I've been through that, and this is my tournament.
Keeping that in mind, what advice would you give to everyone who's looking at your position here and being like, one day I want to be there?
Always be looking to improve. No matter how good you think you are or how much you think you lost because of luck, there's always something you could have done better. Focus on that.
Well, you've certainly done that, and now you are the first Masters Division champion from Australia. How does it feel to represent your community that way?
Incredible. Incredible.
They seem very excited. Is there anyone you want to say hello or thanks to while we're here?
I want to thank all my friends watching at home, especially my friends Corey and Jack, who is here. Thank you guys. Thanks to all my family and my mom. Incredible.
Well, thank you. Congratulations again. Let's hear it one more time for Henry, your world champion.